Well, good evening. Welcome to Grover Hill Zion United Methodist Church, Thursday evening devotions from around the kitchen table. Tonight I came across a story just the other day, and I found it interesting. It's kind of scientific, but it also shows us how intricate God's work is and how marvelous and amazing it is. And so I want to share that with you in a little bit. It's a story about a baby and what happens inside the mother's womb. And of course it's not everything, but it's just a little tidbit that I found fascinating, and I hope you do too. You know, we think about a baby in a mother's womb and the safety that's in the womb, and you know, the outside things happen on the outside in the world where sometimes we're at risk and we don't think about safety, or we have to worry about our safety at times as well. You know, there's a Georgia politician by the name of Stacey Abrams. You perhaps have heard her name in the last several years. But anyway, she is one of these women that's very outspoken. She's 48 years old, very outspoken. She's very much in favor of abortion and many other things as well, things that I don't agree with, and I think they're wrong. But anyway, she doesn't care about the safety of that child in the womb. The scriptures talk about, and I'll share some of those with you in a moment. They talk about safety in a womb and being created in the womb. Well, she doesn't believe in safety in a womb. She believes in abortion right up to the moment that child is born, even as it's being born. And when I hear that, I always wonder. In fact, I heard her talking about that the other day. But I always wonder when I hear that, okay, so when do we stop abortion? When is abortion prohibited? At what age? Why just stop? If it can be aborted during birth, why not beyond birth? Why can't she be aborted at 48 years old instead of just only at a few minutes old? You know, she always wants to make her safety, and people like her, they want to make sure their safety is guaranteed, but they don't care about innocent children or other folks as well. She's one of the defund the police as well. She doesn't care about the safety of that child in the womb or the safety of the people. Not in defunding the police. She doesn't want any police at all. Do away with them. And yet she cares about her own safety and security. From December of 2021 and until now, she spent $450,000 on her own security. I mean, isn't that hypocrisy? Well, anyway, I don't want to get into the politics of that. I only just said that to show you about the safety, and hopefully it'll make sense here in a moment. We talk about God knowing you in the womb. God said to Jeremiah in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5, he said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I knew you before you were born. I set you apart. I appointed you to be a prophet to the nations. You know, you don't know what God has in store for that child in the womb that he placed there, that he's forming there. You don't know what the future holds for that child. God has something special in mind for that child. Sometime in their life, we just don't know what it is. David writes in Psalm 127, verse 3, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. And Solomon writes in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 5, as you do not know the way the Spirit comes into the bones in the woman or in the womb of a woman with child, so you do not know the work of God who makes everything. Isn't that true? We don't know. We don't know how God works, how the Spirit of God works in our lives or somebody else's life. We don't know. There are some people who tell you they know that they are God. They put themselves on the same level as God, which is what Satan did. And of course, then he was cast from heaven. And again, he writes in Psalm 139, verse 13, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb." Much is said about a mother's womb, isn't it? And how sacred it is and how important it is. It's been demonstrated that fetal DNA appears in the maternal circulation early in the first trimester. That it can be identified in all pregnancies tested by 7 weeks. And that it continues to be present throughout that pregnancy. You know, when I read that, I just kind of was fascinated and amazed by that all at the same time. I always realized that with a baby and a mother that there's two different persons there, but I never realized, never thought about there being two different DNAs in that mother that can be detected. So we've always said that when you're destroying a baby, you're destroying a life. Now we'll see here in a moment, I hope, that not only is that baby being destroyed in abortion, but the mother is affected as well. And let me just share that with you. When pregnant, the cells of the baby migrate into the mother's bloodstream, and then they circle back into the baby. It's called fetal maternal microchimerism. For 41 weeks, the cells circulate and merge backwards and forwards, and after the baby is born, many of these cells stay in the mother's body, leaving a permanent imprint in the mother's tissues, bones, brain, and skin, and often stay there for decades. Every single child a mother has afterwards will leave a similar imprint in her body too. Wow, when I read that, I just thought, that's unbelievable. And I checked several different sources. It just sounded too fascinating. You who are medical people, you probably understand that or know that. I did not know that. I don't know. It was like somebody turned on a light to me when I saw that. That mother, she's not done carrying that child just when the baby's born. She'll carry that child perhaps for decades in or after that child is born. Even if a pregnancy doesn't go to full term, or if you have an abortion, these cells still migrate into your bloodstream. And research has shown that if a mother's heart is injured, fetal cells will rush to the site of the injury and change into different types of cells that specialize in mending the heart. The baby helps repair the mother while the mother builds the baby. How cool is that, huh? One looks after the other. They look after each other. That's community as well, isn't it? That's family. This is often why certain illnesses vanish while a woman is pregnant. You know, it's incredible how a mother's bodies protect the baby at all costs. And the baby protects and rebuilds the mother back so that the baby can develop safely and survive. Think about crazy cravings for a moment. What was the mother deficient in that the baby made them crave? What mineral or chemical were they deficient in that they needed pickles or ice cream or whatever it might be? Studies have also shown cells from a fetus in a mother's brain years after she gave birth. Isn't that pretty amazing? That she still has part of that baby in her even decades after she gave birth. Well, if you're a mom, you know how you can intuitively feel your child even when they're not there. Well, now there seems to be scientific proof that moms carry them for years and years after they have given birth to them. I just found that story fascinating. You know, a condition like this isn't something that just evolved or just happens, but it's something that God has designed and created each step of the way as a baby is formed and born and grows into adulthood. So I just give God praise for his creation. While man may think that he's God, there's no way we understand how God works and how he designs things. Well, you think about that. I hope you find that as fascinating as I do. Have a great and blessed week.